Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and a new model on the market which is going to be quite exciting. I think it is from, you guessed it, MinimumRC, and it is their new BAE Systems Hawk Red Arrow EDF 1S 30mm 380mm wingspan. Fantastic. Let's see what's in the box. Take that off. Oh, I see. I thought it was separate, but sorry, I thought it was part of the box, but hopefully the components are okay. Should we look in there first of all? There are some plastic components to this, probably 3D printed, I'm not sure. I think it is 3D printed, yeah. Now I can just see the lines, yeah. So that reinforces the nose cone, and then you've got your two ducted fan components. So I've got the full kit with the airborne pack, receiver for my transmitter. There's a charger in there, 1.7 gram servos. It's only aileron elevator, this one. Let's just put the block on there, keep it down. Card, 260 milliamp hour battery, 1S charger in case you haven't got one, USB, a 4-channel receiver, micro receiver, and two 1.7 gram servos to go with it. That's cool. A knife and a little screwdriver in case you haven't got one. The plywood kit and carbon rods, push rods and reinforcement, with a little impeller, control horns, cordless motor, impeller, fan. Look at that. Lovely. Oh, look at that in there. Look. You can't see it, but there's a lovely big cockpit. MinimumRC have started producing kits that have got moulded cockpits. Gorgeous. Done in the Red Arrows colour scheme. The build instructions don't come with the kit, they come online. So you go to the product page and scroll down and you'll find a link to the, there's more plywood there, find a link to the build instructions there, and they're very concise. That must be for a display stand by the look of it. It's rather neat. Obviously, the starboard wing, or probably the port wing, possibly. RAF signage, little Red Arrows logo, lovely, isn't it? And fuselage. Look at that, actually it's quite a big aeroplane, isn't it? It's quite a chunky fuselage. I suppose it has to be. So it's got some brakes in it here to go around the nose cone. All that will be on the instructions, fold in places. Yeah. It's my personal bugbear, flying a plane without a pilot. So it's a lovely interior there with two empty seats. I might have to put a pilot in there, but apart from that, lovely decal sheet. So what I'm going to do now guys, is to get my laptop going, sit it here, bring up the instructions and see what's first. Almost certainly think it's going to be assembling the internal crutch assembly with all the electronics on board, and I'll test it as well, as is the normal MinimumRC practice. But look at this again. Let's just have another quick look at these parts. Isn't 3D printing wonderful? I really do want a 3D printer. This must be where the oh, I don't know though. I'm not sure, maybe that goes on there, I don't know. Only guessing, may or may not do, but the motor will fit in here, and That's probably the exhaust straight out the back. Perhaps that's halfway down the fuselage. We'll find out, won't we? Let's get building. Right, I'm fully prepared. I've got a new piece of paper down. Why not? I've used the plastic bag the kit came in to protect my new surface. And would you believe the very first instruction is actually assemble. There's 77 steps. First set of instructions is to assemble the support. Go in there, go in there, lovely tight fit. There's your stand. It's rather nice, isn't it? Right, don't even need to glue it, it's such a good fit. But you can glue it if you want, of course. Right, let's have a look. Step 2, fuselage wooden frame, parts and printed components. Right, so I need that one there and the nose cone, and it looks like I need all of these parts out except the magnet support. Incidentally, they say on the instructions that it includes glue, foam glue and CA glue. I have queried this with them in the past, and they're not allowed to send glue in the post anymore. They just haven't mentioned it on the website. Okay, I'll keep that in the box because it's got that component. And get your sandpaper and just clean up any edges that you're suspicious that might have little lugs on them. Okay, that's my first 5 components. Step 3, assemble the fuselage wooden frame, parts and printed components. There is a way up it goes. Notice these are offset. You can glue it with whatever you like, but quite honestly it's not going to come apart just by running some CA in there. Okay, and the last piece, again, just make sure everything's orientated the correct way around. Run some CA in there and then make sure that it's 90 degrees. Now I have noticed one thing here. It's very easy to push this in too far, so that's sticking out there, look, not because I've pushed the plastic in. So make sure it's fully down, fully in. I'm just going to flood CA in around the little joint there, and that will have to do, so I certainly don't want to take it off. Step 5, install the servo as shown, top view of the parts. The top view is this, and they are shown like that way up, with the wire coming out that side, like that. And the screws will then go loosely through the servo and into the plywood. I'll install the servos, guys. I'll be back in a second. Don't go crazy with over tightening them up. You could strip the plywood. Just pinch them up nice. You just open up the beginning of the hole slightly like that, it makes it easier to get it in. Okay, step 7. Secure the receiver with Velcro. One of the things you have to do is to check all the electronics are working with your transmitter, because the radio equipment is buried and you can't get to it, so you've got to make sure everything's working and bound before you encapsulate it. You use Velcro, which they supply, to mount the receiver just about here. The connections to the battery are only soldered on, they're unsupported, so be very careful. But the wires actually come all the way back to here. So what I'll do is just glue the wires down onto the baseboard here, onto the plywood. Just drop a CA just to take the strain off of that, so every time you change a battery you're not working on that joint, solder joint. Something I like to do, you don't have to do it, but something I like to do whenever I'm sticking Velcro to plywood, I like to give it a bit more of a something solid to stick to. So I just work some CA in where the Velcro is going to go. I let it dry, but it just gives it a little bit of a hard base for it to stick onto, doesn't it? Just bring the Velcro inside of the two little components on the bottom, else it won't be stuck as it could be. This is the aileron servo, this is the elevator servo, and just so as I know, I'm going to mark those A and E. I don't know why, it might come in handy later, you never know. Connect the receiver to the servo, bind the receiver with the transmitter and test whether the servo is functioning properly, ensuring that the servo's correspondence with the channels is correct. And also, once you're happy, all the leads have to be tidied up and held together with a cable tie. Right, I've checked the servos, they work okay, and I've put on the cable tie to tidy it up a bit, keep the wires where they should be. And I've also stuck these cables down just here with a bit of super glue, as I said, just to take the stress off of the solder connection down there. Now, moving on to the step 11, the aileron servo, yep, uses the cross arms like that, and it goes just there, like that. The elevator servo uses a standard arm, and that just goes like that. So I pop the screws in there using my freshly magnetized screwdriver. Now you're only screwing into plastic here, so don't go crazy tightening it up. You'll find there's a little bit of play in these servos, they're only plastic, don't forget. Right, that's the servo arms installed. So the magnets, what you can do is to separate them. Wouldn't it be awful if people were magnetic? And I'm just going to run a load of CA in there and push it in. Oh, as you can see, leaving the magnet, leaving the plywood. As you can see, leaving the plywood in the sprue is quite a good idea. You'll find the magnet is slightly thinner than the plywood, so be prepared to not push it all the way through. Just leave it flush on one surface so as it actually binds with the other magnet when we come to it. So I'm going to keep the flush side facing out because that's where the hatch is going to go. It's going to be a pretty good fit in there, just making sure it's all the way down. Set it at 90 degrees. Right, step 14. Mount the propeller onto the motor, ensure that the blades are fully secured in place. I always like to just look at the next instruction just in case there's something that's relevant. So I need to push the impeller, propeller they call it, onto the shaft. Incidentally, the connection on the back of the motor, very delicate, don't push on the wires, push on the casing. It looks like it might go on a bit further, so I'll just give it a little bit of a... So that goes. Again, I'm not pulling on the motor wires, I'm making sure any stress is taken on my fingers. So that goes in there like that. Pushes in, just let me read it. ensuring the propeller blades was close to the support structure as possible and rotate freely. Use glue to secure the motor from the rear end as shown in the diagram. Well, that's not turning freely, so that's too far. Again, being wary of the wires. Yep, still hitting the duct. Go forward a little bit more. Just scraping on the side there. Just on the inside here, there's a little bit of, I think I'll just sand, just very gently where the propeller blade goes around, just to take off any high spots. You can't get it on wrong because there's little lugs there it binds into all the way around. There's the big one there, and two little slots for the fins. It's got to be a really good fit, but it's slightly too good. Just going to keep sanding for a minute. It's just a little bit of a little raised area just inside where the 3D printers left a high spot. It's all the way around, so I'll just go around. Right, I don't actually need to take that off again, so I can put a little bit of glue on the back of the motor. CA glue. Just going to get a little blob on there. If you haven't got a pipette on your CA glue, then put some on a pin, guide it in there. There's little vent holes in the end of the prop in the spinner, as it were. You can just put the screwdriver in there to turn it. So what I'll do, I'll just put a little blob just there and a little blob just there, one there and one there. That should hold it. Right, now pass the motor wire out through the hole. So we've got our servos moving, aileron, elevator and throttle. There's quite a bit of force on that, look. So we're good to go. That's all working, which is great. On the illustration on the instructions, the blue wire is nearest the center with the red one on the outside, but on mine it's the other way around, so do make sure things are as you would expect. So that's working nicely. Time to start fitting the fuselage sides. Use a sharp tool, screwdriver in brackets, to score through the marked lines on the fuselage. Do use a sharp knife and try and follow the side as it stands. It's better not to have any little nodules sticking up because it will affect it when you put on the cross pieces. If you do have any little nozzles sticking up, then cut them off. Sand them off. How's that? Is that one out? What's going on back there? This piece here goes on the outside of the air intake, but we don't take it out yet. So I'll just leave that in for the minute. Notice there's a couple of pieces here, so don't go losing those. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut that off, put that back in the box. Use a sharp tool like the supplied screwdriver and score through the marked lines on the fuselage. These finely cut halfway through lines. Now, because the front is so delicate, we've got to be really careful that we don't actually break those, so I'm just going to support them as I cut, or score I should say, including that front bit. Let's turn it around and come off the edge, supporting it. When you get to the edge, don't go too hard because you will in fact almost break all the way through, so go very lightly towards the end. support the overlap join. Not pressing very hard, just hard enough. You want to have a practice on a scrap piece. Hold it down at an angle. Again, because I'm coming close to the end now, I'm going very lightly. It's better to do a couple of controlled scores than one heavy one. What you'll find is that will just crease just nicely, take up the shape that we want it to take up. Really looking forward to flying this one. This is going to be great. So I'm just giving them a little crease now, just to help them when the time comes to. This bit's very delicate on those, be very careful. Section 21. Assemble one side of the fuselage, the wooden framework and the duct with glue. Connect the motor to the receiver and test it to ensure the rotation direction is correct. Right, let's do a sort of a trial fit, shall we? This is going to go, that goes in there. This is why it's important to get the servos the right way round, by the way, because if you don't, then the arm on the elevator, in this case, won't line up. So the servo arm has to line up with the slot in the fuselage side. And this has to fit around the nose, and that goes in just under that edge. So what I think I'll do is I'll leave this very front bit and I'll just run a bead of glue down here, over there, and onto this flat piece here. And the glue I'm going to use is the glue that they should have supplied but don't do anymore, and that is a foam glue, and I shall use Pour, P-O-R, available from all good model shops, as they say. Run that down there, like that, over the top, underneath, and I'm going to take it down to I think I could just take it to there and stop, because I can bend this piece out to get glue under it. So I'm going to try doing this in stages. Whether it's quite the right way or not, we'll soon find out. This pretty much positions itself there, that because of the way it folds over the top and underneath. So I'm going to try and hold that there, and I'm going to bring it around and glue it onto the plastic. I'm kind of like hoping it will all go in, so it better add. I might just spread that with my finger a little bit. Okay, give that a go. Also, you want to put some between those joints as well, look at it. Pour is like a contact glue, so you can touch it and then take it away and then retouch it. Say one thing for these kits, they are very accurately cut. They do fit just perfect. Pulling in reasonably well. Not too hard that it's pulling in the side, but just hard enough to get it onto where it should be gluing. Have a look. There was a close-up of this area actually, so we'll just have a look at that. Let's bend you up a little bit. and that would be good, but it's upside down. And that's going to fit over there and over there. And I guess the edges here. Just notice there's two little slots in the side as well for these sides to come out, so I'm just going to make sure that that actually lines up with those, and it does beautifully. Okay. Making sure those two little lugs go in. That pulls through like that. Okay. Oops. If you get some on the outside, it will clean off with lighter fluid, which melts Yoo-hoo pour really well. It says on the thing, on the instructions, the positioning tip of the duct should be fully embedded into the fuselage, so that's this side here, because the air has to, you don't want air escaping down the side of the duct. I was going to pull it tight to the tube, but it doesn't go tight to the tube, it just sticks where it sticks. Okay, which is just there, because the top and bottom panels have to still fit. I can always pull it in later anyway. Okay, I'm just checking everything now to make sure that we're still stuck where we should be. Now I have to plug the motor wire into the receiver board. If your motor's running the wrong way, then you just reverse that connect. Yep. Let's go in the right way. Exciting, isn't it? I need all four of these actually. So let's just take those out. It hasn't shown the hatches removed yet, so probably because it's a little bit delicate, so I'm going to leave them in. I don't think I've cut all the slots out then, so I'll leave those in for the minute. Yeah, just for the minute anyway. So this piece here goes with the slots at the back for the fin. There's nothing to locate it other than it sits on top of the fan unit and comes around like that. As you can see, it's pretty much a sort of a contact glue. Just going to help that to bend. Like that. Just looking to see exactly how that fits. It goes on top of it. I didn't. Let's go back and put that on there. That in there. And that comes around there. Use glue to secure the fuselage bottom plate. Do not apply glue to the red lined section, because the red line section is your battery hatch, and there's no point in gluing that down. And this bit, the only bit of glue is this little front piece here, because this has to open as a battery hatch, and it'll have a sticker over it, and that sticker will provide a hinge really. I've never had one break, so I'm guessing the last piece, let's have a look at the last piece. Use glue to affix the bottom plate of the tail section. I'm going to put a bit of glue on the inside of that joint. Looks like it needs it. Part 31 is gluing on this side, which is going to be exciting. Okay. Okay, obviously I can't stick it on with all the masking tape on, so I'm just going to let that set a little bit before I attempt to remove it. Work your way around, getting it as good as you can, as equal as you can, as quickly as you can. Well, I'll tell you what, that didn't go too badly actually. It's not too bad. It's quite a chunky little fuselage, that, isn't it? Part 32. Vertical tail fin reinforcement plate. Slide it in you go, there we go. And of course it's a good idea to make sure that that itself is vertical, so I'm just going to eye it up. And oh, sticker time. But I'm going to let that thoroughly dry tonight, guys, so I'm going to stop there and I'll continue it tomorrow. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that.